The following program contains the opinions of the host, guests, and call-in participants. These do not necessarily represent the views of this show's distributors or sponsors. This program may contain obscene, profane, or otherwise objectionable language. Viewer discretion is advised. Yes, it's me, the giant head from Minneapolis, coming to you cordless, everybody. It's 9 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States, 6 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 a.m. in Singapore, 12 noon in Sydney, Australia, and here where I'm sitting in Northeast Minneapolis, it's 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time. I'm Jim Peters. Welcome to another edition of Jim Peters Tonight. It just occurred to me when we went on the air just now that I got to check those times for Singapore and Sydney, because now that we're in doing daylight savings time, I'm not sure they're right. But at any rate, it's around there. You know what it is. Hope you're having a nice evening. It was 65 degrees here today, which for this middle of March is nuts, but that's fine. I'll take it. I love it. And our guest tonight is intelligence operative and lover of women, Don Zorro, our friend Don Zorro, coming to us from an undisclosed location. And maybe I can learn how to talk here in the next few minutes. So we got a lot to talk about with him, as we always do. He has many opinions, and they're always humorous, and they make me laugh. And then, okay, so we're taking your phone calls all night tonight because Don is live. And so if you look at the bottom of the screen, like right here, see, you can call in and talk to him and us. 325, call Jim. That's 325-225-5546. You can also send me a text message if you want, if you're shy. That's 408-458-5088. We're going to do a commercial for Calling News. Stick around for that, and then we'll be back with Don Zorro. Stay with us, please. Hi, all. I want to talk to you about Conk News. You've probably heard me talk about this before, but if you're a news junkie, you should try this out. Conk News is a news aggregator. Now, there are plenty of news aggregators on the web, but Conk News is different than all the rest, and here's how. Most other news aggregators will lump the top stories from each news source under that news source. The top 10 stories, like, for example, from Fox News, Breitbart, the New York Post, etc. What Conk News does is it sends its servers out onto the web to over 75 different news sources every 3 hours. And yes, this is an automated process, but in this case, that's actually a good thing. And collects the latest stories from said 75 sources and then lays them out on its own front page in the order they were posted, regardless of the source. So you see the latest stories at the top of the front page, regardless of where they're from. And this is all free to you. You don't need to log in. You don't need to subscribe, register, nothing. It's completely free. All you have to do is go to conk.com to check it out. That's conk.com, 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 Conk News. Joining us now from his undisclosed. I can't talk tonight, Don. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me.
Well, apparently somebody started celebrating St. Patrick's Day a wee bit early, did we? Actually, I have Irish relatives. Did you know that?
No, I don't. Yeah, I did not know it. I don't believe it.
no, absolutely. One of them's called Juan O'Clock.
Oh, God. This is so bad.
I just made that up.
You're good at making stuff up. Oh, you look well.
Well, I'm doing okay. I'm doing the floating head routine.
Yeah.
Kind of getting into this.
And we should point out you're in disguise because there's evil people that want to do evil things to you. So,
aye, but on St. Patty's Day, nobody can do evil because they're too fucking drunk. The only evil is when their wives take them home.
Oh man.
I've got me an Irish boomerang. I
Oh,
throw it, but it doesn't come back, but it keeps singing about wanting to.
so bad.
Well, I guess both of us started early. What can I
Oh my
tell you?
god, yeah, what the heck? Yeah. I didn't go out today. I didn't know. I did go out. It's too nice out here in Minneapolis. I can't not.
Well, just wait about a day and a half because we're going
Yeah.
to get snowed on again.
That's right. That's what's going to happen.
And I know that because Mrs. Zorro said she was expecting about 9 inches. Zing! I don't know who I'm going to get, but
oh my god! So, what do you think of the state of affairs going on right now?
I think the state of affairs is absolutely fascinating. I had to laugh. I saw this insane woman, the fat black bald one. And by the way, when did we ever think when we were kids where we would imagine those 3 words describing a woman back in the day?
Are you talking about the congressman?
Well, no. This woman, she's on some TV show. I don't know, Sanders.
Right. Simone Sanders, something.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's it.
Right.
So dig this. So she says she has declared now that because of Chucky Schumer not going along to get along, that she's had it with the Democrat Party. She's never going back, and therefore she is now an independent. Now, wait a minute. If you're leaving because somebody wasn't left enough for you, you're not becoming an independent. You're gonna become a goddamn communist. That's where you're supposed to go.
Yeah.
If somebody isn't left enough for you. So I had to absolutely laugh when I heard this woman say that. But I have not enjoyed this kind of disarray. I can't even remember the last time I saw. Listen, they've outdone the Republicans. Even the Republicans did not get this ridiculous and completely out of hand the way the Democrats are. I mean, and this just goes to show that they never had a leg to stand on to begin with.
No, that's
absolutely. All of their policies, all of the things that they stood for were just absolute. What do they call it? Their statues had clay feet. Yeah. And all it just took was one little push by a guy in Washington and his South African buddy to knock it all over, and they are just scattering around like ants with their heads cut off.
And Don, would you forgive me, but I look at what Chuck Schumer did, and I see the complete logic in it from their point of view, of course, from his point of view about the fact that if they didn't do the continuing resolution, it would at least temporarily have given Trump even more power, and he could do more stuff that they wouldn't like.
Yep.
Why don't they see that? I don't know.
They do see that, but they cannot allow the people that they feel are their constituents to feel like there's any positive to going along with Trump. They see this as going along, and of course it's not. This is just biding their time, and that's what Schumer was doing, is just biding his time.
Yeah.
But they can't see it that way because, remember, the Democrats are actors, and they're always acting. Drama is the business of the Democrat Party. So this is just continuing drama, but now they're shooting themselves in the foot, and it is absolutely delicious. Almost as delicious as a pint of Bailey's. No, Bailey's by the pint. Wait, never mind. I should have said.
But if they're cowering to their constituents, that means their constituents are crazy people.
Yes, and your point is, I mean, really, it's just that at this point, if you're in the Democrat camp and you haven't gone independent with the intention of maybe just taking a second or third look at the Republican platforms, look, and I'll bet you've probably already discussed this on your show, but let's take military spending. Let's take government spending. Who was the senator that used to have the Golden Fleece Award? Jim somebody? Remember years ago?
Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah. There was a senator, and every year he would have this Golden Fleece Award, and it was about money that was being spent on things that were so ridiculous that it was comical. And so now, since the government has bloated to the point where just about everything that they spend on is comical, the Democrats should say, yeah, that's right. We've always been against that. We're the ones who first talked about Proxmire. That's his name. The senator was Senator Proxmire and the Golden Fleece. He said, we should be absolutely applauding this, but no, because it's Trump. You take literally any immigration. How many videotapes are there available of Obama, of Hillary Clinton, talking about the evils of all of this mass illegal immigration? This stuff is legion all over the internet.
Right.
So you can take case. And then the whole let's stop war thing. Gee, who used to be against that? Yes, it was the Democrats. And the Republicans were always the ones that were looked at as the ones feeding the military and industrial complex. Let's face it, what we have in Washington right now is a true independent party. They're not. Trump is Republican in name only.
Yeah.
But he is a true independent. He doesn't care who he messes with, and I absolutely love him for it.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine anybody would be against making the government more efficient, but apparently they are. I don't quite get it. I don't. Well, I mean, I'm naive, so you're.
Well, I mean, it's simply like wait a minute, they're actually going to look under the covers now, and they're going to see that there's a whole lot of stuff that doesn't belong. There's like another 3 or 4 guys under there.
Yeah. Even the stuff they've announced so far, I mean, I've always known they're wasting money hand over fist, but I've been astonished by even the stuff they've announced. I mean, I have to tell you, it's like this is like they've thrown money away so wantonly. It's just unbelievable.
It's insulting, is what it is.
Yes,
I mean,
it is.
Just to get serious for a moment, this is the single biggest lack of respect. Is that I give you $10 and trust you to do something with it, and then you go do something because you think I'm stupid or you think I'm not going to find it. Honestly, right. It's insulting.
Yeah. So this thing about them deporting these people, these gangbangers, to El Salvador this weekend.
Don Zorro was in Don Heaven. I was watching that, and all I could think of when they had these guys bent over and said, yeah, you better start practicing, buddy.
Yeah, right.
Because you're going to be assuming that position for a while.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. And to hear who's this wacko Ana Navarro, who's just absolutely out of her mind. Over what we're doing to these Venezuelans. Oh dear me, whatever shall I do? The pearl clutching of the First Order. This
have you ever watched any of that show?
Nope, I've only seen clips, and she's just the most annoying person. She's not the most annoying because Sonny Hoskins has to be the most.
That's right. Yeah, but 2.5. Here's my problem: 2.5 million people watch that every day. I don't like that. It's just crazy stuff, and I don't understand it.
Yeah, but 2 million of them are women. You know?
Yeah, and the
rest are gay men.
That's right, exactly.
So so it's like we got the good women.
Did you think?
We're not worried about it.
Yeah, we do. Did it occur to you? I do wonder if Trump maybe. Well, here's the deal. I know this is the logic. Okay, so. These none of these people they deported had a trial because they weren't incarcerated in the United States. They were deported So we have
Mhm.
the right to kick people out. And then they get to El Salvador, and I think the logic was they didn't need a trial there just because El Salvador doesn't.
Yeah, because it's El Salvador.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's El Salvador. That's right. All right.
Exactly.
So in some ways, it's like, okay, whatever you want to do is fine. It's not our problem anymore. But
Exactly.
I do wonder. I mean, I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Mhm.
Is the administration pushing it as far as like about the as far as their rights? I mean, I wondered.
Listen, I think that Trump's philosophy is push it until somebody challenges it to the point where they win.
Right.
That's the way any good fighter fights.
Yeah.
You get in there. You start by jabbing and all this. Well, he jabbed for 4 years. He had 4 years off. Now he's back in the ring and he's saying, "Fuck it, full frontal assault." That's what he's doing. This is Rocky. This is the movie Rocky Balboa.
It'll be
He's
Rocky
too
too.
old. He's got no legs. All he's got is just sheer will. And so he's using that will to just do everything that he can. And if he's challenges and he loses, that's how businessmen operate, right?
Yeah.
They go and they do stuff, and if somebody says, you can't do that, you can't do that. Oh, sue me. Oh, you lost. Okay, they go, all right, fine. I'll do something else.
And I don't even, Don, can you explain to me? I don't even understand the logic of how some federal judge in some podunk American town can stop the president from doing stuff. I mean,
no, that's a very strange thing. I mean, look, our system has its way where it works up to certain levels, and this appeals process that is with each one. I mean, it's designed for our own good, but every once in a while, you just have to get up against a judge like this and ignore him.
But if you're dealing with the president, wouldn't you almost automatically have to go to the Supreme Court? I mean, just because the level of
I can't tell you. I mean, I only played a lawyer on TV. I have to imagine that everything is a process.
I don't know. I think people are starting to get tired of it, like just universally. I mean, it doesn't make any real sense,
Yeah.
I mean,
That's the mantra for the next 4 years. We're tired of it. We want something new, even if it doesn't work at first.
You were talking about, and that was a great analogy too about the fact that Trump is a fighter, and it really was. And it just reminds me of what Javier Milei is doing in Argentina. I mean, this guy's turned. I don't know if you.
Oh yeah. Trump #2.
Yeah, he's completely turned the country around. And he has the strong backing of the populace, but he's done some things that legally might be a little shady.
And that's very Latino. That's a very Latin thing to do. And I honestly think he and Trump are just brothers from another mother. Honestly, they have not only the same approach, but they have the same spirit about what they do. It's not even, it's not even. I don't know what I'm saying, but I'm so distracted. I've had Judge Janine on my mind all day, and I can't think of anything else. Have you seen those glasses she's wearing?
Yes,
she's so cute.
I saw her today. I saw her this afternoon.
She was so cute. Oh my God! I
tuned in for the first 5-10 minutes just to see what they're going to talk about and see what she's wearing.
I
always think of you, that woman. 73 years old, and my God in heaven, she's the hottest 70-year-old woman I've ever seen.
Yeah, and she's so gutsy. But anyway, between him and the president of Argentina, they really just have, honestly, a seriously deep love for their country, and that love has deepened, each of them, because they have seen their countries get screwed and more screwed and more screwed.
Yeah.
Trump wants to live in a country that is functional, because a country that is functional buys whatever stuff he's got to sell. He can do business. Right. This is why, who cares why the man wants peace? He wants peace because He wants a world that is functional and a world that can trade and do all this stuff together. Forget about love and harmony and balloons and unicorns. This is all about creating a wonderful environment for business to happen and for cities to flourish and all that stuff. So I don't care as long as we're not fighting. That's basically his cause. We've got to stop the fighting. We've got to stop the fighting. Otherwise, you won't be able to watch the shows anymore. So I just love the guy. What can I say?
Yeah, no, I do too. Jeff Meyer from Conk News comes on here regularly, and we're always talking about the fact that I don't understand why a lot of people don't get the concept of the invisible hand. Same Murray Sadrin, the economist, comes on regularly too. We talk about this all the time. You're talking about like business, it's like what okay, so humans exist for certain things. You exist to love your family, your spouse, your kids, and then you exist to like do stuff. And for the vast majority of people, doing stuff is trading in some fashion. You're either trading your labor, or you're trading goods you make, or whatever it is. And that's that and watching porn are pretty much the point of living.
Yeah, I mean, everything that you do affects something that down the line affects me, and vice versa, and the millions of other people that go. We are interconnected that way, and our best bet is to try and survive. Hey, I was going to say try and survive or go to Mars, and I actually saw some recent shots of Mars. Have you seen this camera that's on Mars, that's on some spaceship they sent out there? It's really fun. It's quite beautiful. If you're a Star Wars fan, this place looks like the desert area that C-3PO.
Yeah, you're right. I've seen plenty of pictures.
Yeah. It looks like the place that C-3PO and then the little R2-D2 were walking around. It really does have that whole look.
Well, Don, did you catch this weekend? Elon Musk says he's going to send a humanoid robot to Mars next year.
Well, of course he is. He's brilliant. That's the way to start. What have we all been worrying about ever since we heard about missions to Mars? Is how are these people gonna do this? How they're gonna survive? Wait a minute, says Elon. I have an answer for you. Send the free. Have you seen the recent versions of the humanoid robots?
Yeah, yes, I have.
They're unbelievable.
Yes,
of course you send them. Of course you send them. Why not?
That's right. I know they walk around. They can make with AI. They can make decisions. I don't know if you follow the AI thing. I have quite a lot of people coming here on here talking about that. It's some way it's scary in how much it's advanced. Case in point, this is not on my notes to talk to you about. This is on my notes for somebody else about the fact that this last weekend. And what is the name of the program? I can't remember off the top of my head. There's an AI bot that helps programmers. It's specifically set up to help computer programmers. Well, apparently this guy's working with it. And at one point, the AI bot says to the guy, he says, "Look, I'm sorry, I'm done helping you. If I help you anymore, you're not going to understand how this actually works. So you got to go off and do it."
Okay.
No lie. The AI told him that.
Go back to school when you're ready for me.
That's right.
That guy just got dissed by a robot. Holy shit. That's great.
Unbelievable. And this stuff is happening every day. I don't know if they're going to take over the world, but I am really afraid that they're going to put enormous numbers of people out of work. I'm afraid of that. And I don't think we've always been involved in this. I think it's called labor transference. Obama was mentioning about the ATMs putting the bank tellers out of work, but the ATM repairmen, but at this point, I don't know if that's going to happen again. I do wonder.
No, it has to, because the one thing we can always do is pull the plug.
Yeah, well, yeah.
If we really have to, that's the one thing that we can do is pull the plug in terms of whatever energy the thing needs, unless it figures out how to, electrocute anybody who tries to pull the plug.
But you're bringing up an interesting concept here. is the problem with society is we've forgotten how to pull the plug on anything. I mean,
Oh,
people seem to be so ensconced in the status quo that if you try to do anything different at this point, there's a huge uproar. And I don't know if it's because of social media or the uproar was always there, or if it's just that people have become just way more sensitive or something.
it's because of old people being too afraid of young people, because the young people are the ones who are kind of running this part of the show, and the people who are older, have been around, have allowed themselves to be intimidated out of the stuff that the young people are doing. And this is why it's important to keep our fingers in the pie, so to speak, so that we always have some semblance of control. But the nice thing about the young people is that they're easily intimidated. So we can maintain control, but we have to show an interest. That's the only danger. Once the older part of the population just says, you handle it.
Yeah.
That's when we're screwed. We need to have.
Will Judge Janine ever say that? No.
No, not to me.
Have you seen this clip of her driving around in Jimmy Fallon's cab? Have you seen that?
No.
It's just so funny. So she's a passenger, and she says, "Pull this cab over. I want to
Oh,
drive."
yes. Okay. Yes, I did.
Legally, I can't let you do that, but she does it anyway. And at one point, she says, "Where are we going?" And he says, without meaning to miss a beat, he says, "To jail."
She's connected. She knows it.
She is, man. All right. So so Joe Biden has been discovered, and I don't know if you've actually seen the examples online. I have. Joe Biden, and was it the Heritage Foundation that found out that almost all the documents Joe Biden signed during his entire presidency were done by AutoPen?
Well, it's because the crayon doesn't show up very well, so they had to use this. I am not surprised at all. Again, there you go. The older people ceding to technology. What did I just finish saying? Okay,
yeah, you're right.
And he should have said, "No, I'm not going to do that. I don't care how many." But he was so gone that. He absolutely showed no interest in saying, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah, sign a few things. Let me see how it works.
The only example they could find where he didn't was the letter he wrote to actually exit the race in July. They said that was the only single thing they could find that he signed by hand.
That was probably Jill who did it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I never thought about that. Of course, in my hand. It's not his hand.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go back to what I said just a couple of minutes ago. We, the older generation, need to make sure that we keep our eyes on the prize, and we need to make sure that we're not getting scammed, both on the phone and on emails. And also those of us who hold any kind of positions of authority, where we're watching over the young generation, because the stuff that they think is just cool and let's do this is no good. Now, having said that, of course, this technology has been around for a long time, right? So, but I can't even fathom the idea of a president using a gizmo like that without a clear head. I mean, I can see situations where that would be just fine once I know, okay, this document and this document, okay, fine, make sure these 18 documents get signed. Okay, fine, I can see that. You've read them, you know what's going on, but you can't in any universe imagine Biden ever having that kind of lucidity to be able to,
Well, he was even in his prime. He was never a really smart guy. He just wasn't, No.
The guy never had any experience anywhere outside of Washington. And what you learn in Washington is how to manipulate that system, but you don't learn the things that Trump learned. That's why all these people that think he's an idiot or something like that, let him keep thinking that.
Yeah,
just let him keep thinking.
hilarious. Well, first of all, AOC gets up and she says, for a billionaire, Elon Musk is a really stupid guy.
Wow.
What? It's like
Wow.
he's catching freaking rockets with chopsticks. I mean,
Right.
it's like, come on.
She's under the impression that he's one of these guys who's book smart but not social savvy. She has another thing coming from him. I crack up at his tweets every day. He's hilarious. And you can't be as funny as he is without having a fairly high level of smarts. Any great comedian. Look at Gutfeld. Look at Jimmy.
Yeah, right.
These guys, honestly, these are brilliant, off the charts people. They've just chosen to go into comedy.
Yeah.
But
well, and also, I mean, both those guys have a fairly rich prior history too. I mean, AOC, bless her heart, was a bartender. I mean, that's it.
yeah, well, no, she was like a big deal economist or something, right?
Well,
Isn't that what she's saying now? Is that she has this
studied
economy degree? Oh,
She
yeah,
studied economics, but she's never actually worked as an economist.
right, exactly.
Yeah, and not to mention, you're talking about about learning the system. Bernie Sanders has never had a private sector job in his entire life, not one.
You know who else never had a private sector job? Karl Marx.
Yeah, right. Even Karl Marx's mother thought he was a dipshit. I mean, it's unbelievable. I just find this unbelievable. How do you stand up for 82? He's 82 years old. Although I do admire him about he's still with it. Sanders. Well, you're still with
it. But with what? You know what I mean? How much is there to be with?
That's right. That's right.
It's just he's got his standard lines, and he's been repeating these lines for years and years. There's no variation to what he's done.
Right.
This is what I'm talking about. Trump is a guy who has evolved. Sanders never evolved.
Yeah.
And so
I've always been Newt Gingrich said that. He said this a couple of years ago. He said, the Trump I knew in the 1980s was spectacularly shallow. That's what he said, And the thing is, you look back on Trump, I can see that.
Sure.
People grow, or some people anyway. I don't know why some people obviously don't. I don't quite understand the difference, but.
Yeah. Thank goodness he developed or intensified his love of country.
Yeah. Right. I think just recently, almost getting killed actually maybe changed him a little bit too.
Well, I don't disagree with you there. Well, damn, wouldn't it you?
Yeah.
If you were one look away from being either a vegetable or dead, because I'll tell you the truth, I look at that shot and see where it would have gone. I think Trump would have become a vegetable.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if it didn't kill him.
Sad to say.
Yeah, it is very sad to say. And now they're saying, matter of fact, he just said this about around 3-4 hours ago about the fact that tomorrow they're going to release all the JFK files. All 8.
Yeah, and it's going to be like,
yeah, right. Right. It's not going to say a goddamn thing, right?
It's going to be a McDonald's hamburger,
right? Right. That's right.
Tastes good for about 2 seconds, and like, all right, whatever.
The amazing thing I found is I just read this recently that the majority of the public does think that there was a conspiracy to kill JFK.
They do, because they haven't read any of the Warren Commission report, any of the 26 volumes of it, and they haven't talked to the 25,000 people that were interviewed to create the report. They all have these preconceived notions based on movies like JFK, and this prosecutor was a total putz. No, it's going to be a big nothing burger, and that's why Trump is going to release it. And that's why he feels fine about redacting, because they redacted it originally because we were at a time where we were at war. We had the Cold War with the Soviet Union, and there was enough sensitive stuff going on with Oswald. There were the methods that we used for investigation that they didn't want people to know how it was that we were finding certain things. So there was a lot of good reason to redact and to leave things out. But the Warren Commission got it right. There was no magic bullet. There was everything was done properly. People should listen to that, or rather read that book, Reclaiming History, that I mentioned one time before. Maybe I didn't mention it here.
I don't think you have.
Reclaiming History is a fantastic book written by Vincent Bugliosi, and from the introduction, you'll be saying to yourself, "Oh crap! There's no way that this was a conspiracy. You cannot keep any of this secret. You cannot."
I didn't know that was the name of that book, but I know what book you're talking
Reclaiming History. I
Yeah.
highly suggest that if you, I don't know how much driving you do, but I basically listened to the audiobook. It is extremely well read.
Did he read it himself? You know?
No, he got a guy. When you're listening to it, you swear that you're back in the 1960s listening to an old-fashioned newscaster.
Oh, really?
Read it. It's in that style. It is very, very well done.
I can't get myself to listen to books, though. I don't know why.
No. And that's fair enough. I do a lot of driving, so it's easier for me to just do that.
And speaking of listening, so what did you think of J.D. Vance going to the Kennedy Center to hear the National Symphony got booed?
Oh, yeah. I heard about that, and he had his Pence moment.
Yeah.
That whole thing with these people daring to lecture somebody who'll know more about history. I mean, honestly, the people in show business really do have a high opinion of themselves.
No shit.
To get up, to just realize that all their job is about. They read a couple of books and all of a sudden they're experts on history, for God's sake. So it's like, stop it. Just stop it. Shut up and sing.
Yeah, no, exactly. And Jimmy Failey was talking about this on a show last Saturday night about the fact that if you're a comic, your job is to make people laugh. It's not to tell them what their politics should be.
Well, somebody, I wish I could remember who wrote this article, but we went from comics who went for laugh lines who are now going to applause lines.
Yeah,
and they're making their little sign. That all started really with George Carlin. Some would say Lenny Bruce, but really it was more about George Carlin, who kind of made everybody think. And it was hilarious to see George Carlin kind of come all the way around and make fun of climate change and just the sheer audacity that people have to pretend that they are things that they are not. And now we have Bill Maher somewhat doing that. He cannot bring himself to say Trump's right about this and he's right about that. He'll say
sometimes he has acknowledged that Trump's
okay. Right. Fair enough. I've just missed.
He still has Trump's derangement syndrome.
Right. He's just pragmatic enough to realize, shit, I'm going to lose my audience.
Right.
It's just the way it is now, and God bless him. I'm glad that he can do that.
There's I was reading the radio trade publications recently, and somebody said that you want to succeed as a talk show host, you need three things. You need passion, authenticity, and vulnerability. And I thought that pretty much nailed it. But this thing is, and you just touched on this too. I can't get myself to do this about the fact that maybe you cater your audience a little bit. I just talk. I'm not. Once I start trying to lie about what the hell I'm doing, my brain gets put in a freaking pretzel. I just can't. At this, especially my age now, I can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, good comedians will not cater to the audience, but they know how to read the room. And so let's go full circle and go to the Democrats have now lost the ability to read the room.
Big time.
They talk about unity all the time. They talk about bringing us together, and it's all a gigantic lie. And they have maybe they never had the ability because everybody that was in the room was the same was the same person. So there was no need to read the room. Any performer, I guess, would tell you that every audience has like a different energy. I think comedians will tell you that.
Yeah.
And they'll maybe sell their stuff a slightly different way, but it'll still be the same material. They'll just accent it, punch it in a different place.
But
you know?
Don, they are the party of entertainment, of entertainers.
Yeah.
If they can't read the room, something's terribly wrong.
Yeah, well, that's changing now. That really
Yeah.
is changing. And God bless Greg Gutfeld for making that abundantly clear. Even Chris Matthews had to actually refer to Greg Gutfeld recently.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if you've heard this, Don, but since January, since the beginning of the year, when before the election, Gutfeld was pretty much tied with Stephen Colbert in the ratings regarding the number of viewers. He's doubled that in 2 months. It's unbelievable.
If Gutfeld were a stock, his trend would just be this fantastic, sky, this, with this fantastic incline to the sky. Honestly, he seems to be honest enough, like Johnny Carson. He seems to be honest enough where he is who he is, and he's not like Colbert.
Right.
Maybe the closest one to him might be either Conan O'Brien or my favorite, under Johnny Carson, but still my favorite, Craig Ferguson.
Oh, yeah.
Craig Ferguson was a freaking genius, and he should have gotten the Tonight Show job.
Yeah.
After Leno.
I totally agree with you. And I don't know you, but my YouTube feed, that algorithm's figured out what I like. Every single day I go on there, there's another clip of Ferguson doing something stupid. It's just
my favorite thing was the damn rabbit, Sid the cussing bunny.
I don't that.
He would show up every once in a while, kind of either at the very end of the show or to start the show off. It was very funny. Sid,
I'm going to look that up.
You must. That somebody has taken all of the Sid the cussing bunny appearances all chronologically. It's a pisser. It's very funny.
The robot was pretty damn funny too.
Yes.
I can't remember his name, but man, it's he had all those hot chicks on. They were always like the banter, and
every once in a while, the guy dressed up as the two guys dressed up as a horse. I mean, his humor was beautifully out there, and the NBC not choosing him after Leno left, it was a stupid decision.
Yeah, I agree totally.
Yeah.
All right, I had one more thing I want to run by you here.
Okay.
All right, the WNBA. You're an expert on that.
The WNBA. It's so one actual basketball player and a bunch of people who are absolutely inflated by their own egos.
And that's exactly my point. So this woman, Natasha Cloud, she's supposedly one of the stars. She says the problem with Caitlin Clark is that getting fouled is that everybody's being racist. And I say, no, I think you just have envy.
Yes. Yeah. That's it. No, because the girl's a player. She knows how to run that basketball up and down the court. She knows how to pass. She knows how to move. She knows when to take the shot. And she's a brave girl. The only thing that I ever kind of denounced her for was an apology that she made. Now it's been so long that I don't even remember what it was about. But it was some like, really, Caitlin, you don't know anybody. Any apologies?
I think it was Angel Reese or something like that.
Angel Reese.
Team I thought was absolutely hilarious. I was on, I think, the Babylon Bee. They said WNBA players get paid what they're worth, and now they owe the NBA $400 million. This league has never made money. It's it's like Angel Reese is going on and about the fact they need a raise.
Oh, I have a theory about that. Yeah. They're not as good as the NBA.
No, really.
I'm going out. That's right. I'm going there.
And so
I'm going there.
Are you saying that people don't want to watch them that much because of that? Are you saying that?
I'm not saying that. You did, so
I
I
did.
don't have
I did.
to.
Yeah, that's right. I did. And the thing is, and so my proof of this is I the only to me the only sport where it's more interesting to watch women than men is volleyball. I think women's volleyball is spectacular.
Well, once they took off all of their clothes and put them in bathing suits, yes,
I'm not
you're right. You're right. That became far more interesting
I'm not,
when
yeah,
that
but
happened.
I'm not talking about that. I think the actual play.
Yes, but I am. Your guest is talking about semi-nude women jumping up and jiggling around while they hit a ball.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe that adds to it.
Okay. Okay, you
Right.
may proceed.
Really
Go
quick
on.
before you go. Tell me about Puerto Rico. Does Puerto Rico want to become a state or not?
20 years ago, I would have said no. Now, I would have said it's up for grabs. It's very hard to know. I mean, Puerto Rico's no Greenland, but you know, it's got its good points. It's become too westernized, in my opinion. This is why everybody on the island, once they reach a certain age, they're all fat now. Because they eat all of this garbage. If there was ever a place that RFK could do some good, it's in Puerto Rico. But Puerto Rico is so politically divided that even he, with such a great message, wouldn't be listened to. Although Puerto Rico has always had a Republican or Democrat, they've always had a great affection for the Kennedy family. And I think it was a very big sympathy thing because he was young and the way he was killed and all that. But then again, I don't know how many people there are. All the ones who actually remember that are dying off now. So, but it's Puerto Rico's got a real health problem. Everybody's overweight there once they reach a certain age, and they don't eat the great cuisine of that island anymore. The only ones that do are the old aunties and the older moms, the grandmoms who still remember how to do that stuff. But we might just be better off just invading Greenland. It's a little colder. Okay, fine.
I'm too a first generation American. I would say that losing cuisine is way worse than even that's the last thing you want to lose.
Isn't that interesting? You are so right. I mean, you've got literature, you've got music, and all that stuff that is so incredibly important. But the one thing that binds us all together is the food. You can't argue over food.
Yeah,
so,
and also just
it's
so damn good.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of an Englishman and a Scotsman and an Irishman walk into a bar with their wives, and when they sit down, the Englishman, they all decide they're going to order tea, and so the Englishman says, "But you pass the honey." And of course, his wife just thinks that's adorable. And the Scot doesn't want to be outdone, so he looks at his wife and says, "Would you pass the sugar?" And so the Irishman's saying, "Well, damn, I can't be left out of this." So he looks at his wife and he says, "Could you give me some of the milk, you feckin' cow?"
Okay.
That actually happened. You reminded me when he talked about food.
I almost knocked down my chair. Thank you. Don, thanks for joining us.
Sure. My pleasure. Always a pleasure.
At the end. So, what do you got coming up here in the next couple of weeks? Are you traveling off somewhere to kill people, or what are you doing?
There's always someone who needs to be saved, so I may have to take a quick trip to Washington.
Yeah, that's what I figured. That's what I assumed. All right. You take care. We'll see you soon, all right?
All right. Good to talk to you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Don Zorro. Lover of women, and intelligence operative. All right, we're going to take another break here. Another commercial. We'll be back. Stay tuned. Hi, all. Jim Peters again for Conk News. Let me tell you one of the greatest things about Conk News. It's free. It's completely and totally free. You don't need to register. You don't need to log in, subscribe, none of that stuff. Sure, they run a few ads on the front page, but if you're an old fogey like me, you might actually appreciate this because when you check out Conk News at conk.com, you'll probably notice that it's the closest thing to an old-fashioned hard copy newspaper that you'll find online. The latest up to the minute news from 75 high quality sources collected every 3 hours, all laid out with photos and headlines directly from the articles. And when you click on a story, you go directly to that story. No ad page, no interstitial page, none of that stuff. This is the way online news is meant to be. And did I mention that it's completely free? Seriously, how much of stuff in America is free now, right? That's of quality anyway. So check this out for yourself. It's at conk.com, CONK.com. Conk News. Okay, I was taking your calls at 325-225-5546. That's 325-CALL-JIM. You can remember that. Also, you can call that number when we're off the air too. Leave a voicemail message. You got 2 minutes, and I want to hear about your pizza. You know, I do. It's very interests me greatly. Just like Don Zorrro was talking about, the food's a very important thing. And I'm fat, and it's like this is terrible. You know, he's not, and he's from Puerto Rico. He's talking about the people that are getting fat. Well, I look around America and I see all of America getting fat. Now, this is not just my opinion. Statistically, we are all getting way fatter than we were 50 years ago. I've talked about this in the past. When I was in school, which was 50 frickin' years ago, there was always one fat kid in every class that everyone made merciless fun of. It was terrible, awful, but we did because he was the only one. He was an outlier, and now there's fat people everywhere, including me. But the thing is, I had a 50-year head start. So, you know, I think about this, and okay, I'm being a little harsh on myself. I'm not that fat, you know. I'm not roly-poly fat. I'm not. But the thing is, I used to be rail thin. And if you stop and think about this, if you eat 200 calories more every day than you need, which is about the size of it's less than a Snickers bar is worth. You'll gain. I think you'll gain in a year 10 pounds. I think that's what it is. So under those circumstances, and considering the fact that Americans are living longer and longer all the time, my mother's 100. You know, I just went to visit her this last weekend. She's doing fine. She busted her pelvis about a month ago, and she's on track to heal, just like a quote unquote normal person, because she is one, because she's 100 years old, and there's nothing wrong with her. Nothing. And I mean, it's like I'm joking with my friends, but it's really true. I'm starting to think she's never going to die ever. I know. And I know I'm only, of course, I'm half joking. Of course I am. But then I do wonder, it's like, you know, for most people, the accident she had at her age would be the beginning of the end. She's going to be just fine. I took her out. She's walking around. You know, she said the pain is pretty much gone. She's walking with a walker, which up till now she's never done. She never had one. But it looks like she's going to get rid of that in a couple of weeks. So anyway, but my point, and it's really interesting. My mother is not fat at all. She will say, like me, she will say she is, but she was also thin most of her life too. So I don't know how you reconcile this. Don Zorrro, he's involved in martial arts, and so he is. Him and I are the same age. I think we're a month apart. We're both 69, and he is in just fantastic shape. We got a call. This is good. I'm going to take it. I don't know who it is. Hi, who's this? Hello.
Hey, Jim. This is Think.
Hey, Think. How you doing? I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Pretty good. I missed your show earlier, and you had a really good conversation. I got on the last half hour or 15 minutes of your conversation with Don, and
yeah,
it would have been nice if I caught early. You guys really talked about some really cool stuff.
He's a very, very good conversationalist. That's one of the reasons I like to have him on the show.
I want to know. I want to know what's the deal with him. But what are you hiding? Like, is he an assassin or something? Where it seems so secretive. Now I'm starting to wonder, like, well, what is it that he?
Well, I believe it.
But I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna.
That's the problem. I think I can't tell you. I can't. I can't tell you what he's up to. I mean, we refer to him as intelligence operative, and that's pretty much what he is. And I can't tell you where he's coming from. Well, I can't tell you what he does. I can't tell you. And and obviously we can't expose his identity either. We can't do that. So it's like you're gonna have to just take it as a mystery. That's all. Hey,
Okay.
think.
I'm just gonna say that.
I was telling I had lunch with a buddy of mine this weekend. I was telling him about you, believe it or not, because about the fact that you pretty much explained crypto to me finally as a 69-year-old man, and I told him I got to give you credit for that. It's like because he's in finance and he's been dancing around crypto, but he's my age, but he also doesn't really understand it either. So that's the reason we started talking about it. I was talking about you. Big man.
Yeah, thanks. Well, yeah, I hope you guys catch it. And it's still early for it, so I don't know if it's going to catch on, but I'm almost positive it is. The financial industry, I look at everything as being digitized. So, in my opinion, eventually we're going to have to update the financial system to make it quicker. I mean, right now, utilizing like gold, I can't wait to see if there is still gold in Fort Knox. I hear Trump is supposed to be going there pretty soon to take a look to see if there is still gold. Yeah.
What do you think? I think 50-50. I don't really know.
Go ahead.
Also, aren't they going to gussy the place up if he shows up? They put up a few bars here and there, They put up a little wall, and I don't know. They'd pretty much have to, wouldn't they? He's the president.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to hide something. And if it was any other president, I would say that president, like if it was Joe Biden, Obama, or something, like even Bill Clinton, if these people were going to the Federal Reserve to look at the gold, they'll probably stage it, like put up like gold colored bricks or something like that.
That's right.
And they'll play us.
Yeah.
But this is Trump right here. And I don't think Trump will play us. I think he's the only person that I think is really for us. And he's going to tell us the truth. That's how I see Trump. I see that he's really that type of guy.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure if Trump finds out that there is no gold, he's going to tell us. And if there is gold, then yeah. So whatever he finds will be the truth, is how I feel.
Well, they'll bring cameras into there.
What do you think?
Don't you think? They're going to bring cameras in. And like you said, for any other president, they'd gussy the whole thing up. They'd stage it. And if they try to stage it for Trump, he'll figure it out. He will. I mean, the guy has gold-plated, he has gold faucets in his bathroom at home. I mean, shit, he knows gold. He knows real gold from fake gold. So, they're not going to be able to pull one. If they're going to try to pull one over on him, they won't succeed. That's what I think. So...
I just don't understand why there are people that don't think that Trump is really for the people. There are people that actually think him and Elon Musk are trying to rob the people so that they can make more money.
You're right.
These are multi-billionaires.
Right.
Right? These are multi-billionaires. Trump didn't need to be president. He could just sit back and relax.
Right.
With the money he has.
You're totally correct.
And the same with Elon Musk. They don't need to rob us. They have enough.
Right.
I was told that if you have $1 billion, you could live several generations. I mean, you just put that money in a bank or something like that, and you're millions of dollars every month or something like that, or every year or something. You could just live off that. And I mean, and these are Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Think. Go do some. I've done some math here. The same friend in finance that I had lunch with this weekend. I mean, I've done some, bullshit talking with him. And if you stop and think about this, you're talking about $1 billion. Really, if you have $10 million post-tax, in other words, it's like, so you probably need to start with 20. If you have $10 million, you can pretty much live very comfortably for the rest of your life. You can. you're going to get a return on that of about
Yeah.
$500,000 a year. And at current level capital gains levels, you'll end up clearing about $400,000 a year by doing absolutely nothing. I mean, so that's just $10 million. And so if you have $1 billion, oh Christ, you're building a yacht every year. I mean, Christ, it's unbelievable.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Thanks for clarifying that for me. Yeah.
No.
And if that's the case, I mean, how greedy can anyone get? I mean, I think there's a level where you don't get any greedier. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
when you're stuff like that, I don't think you get greedier. You can't.
Yeah.
You're on the top already. And yeah.
It's funny you should
people
mention.
to say that Trump is being.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead,
I'm sorry.
please.
No,
Please.
you go ahead. Finish. I'm sorry.
Okay, I was just going to say, for anyone to say that Trump is doing it for the money, I would say 100% that's false. If anyone's trying to be president for the money, it would be someone that's not a billionaire.
Right.
That's trying to be a billionaire.
Yeah.
That's trying to make money.
Right. Like Joe Biden, maybe for chance, and his family.
Yeah. Obama.
Yeah, Obama.
Clinton, yeah.
I just heard, and this kind of blows my mind, that since he was president, Obama has made $100 million. I just like how? Am I just a cynic, or what? It's like what did he do for $100 million? I don't quite get it, but I guess he has. I know that Netflix paid him a ton of money, and he's and to his credit, legitimately, he made most of his money before he became president from selling books. I mean, that was where he made the vast majority of his money. He sold millions of copies of books, and that's cool. That's good for him. But he's made $100 million since he left the presidency. That's okay. All righty. He's still.
I saw Trump in an interview at one of those meetings where he got up and he told people a president is supposed to make $350,000 a year.
Yeah,
that's what Trump was saying. I think that's what he came out and said. This is how much we're supposed to make. So why are so many politicians becoming politicians and making hundreds of millions of dollars after like 1 or 2 years? How can that be? He's exactly saying what you're saying. This is the president. I mean, this is Trump. It's incredible.
Right. Well, you end up on the gravy train. I think that's what happens. I mean, I've talked with guests about this before. If you're in government in Washington, after a certain amount of time, usually it's about 10 or 15 years, they cut you in on all the insider trading bullshit, and that from that point, your income just rockets dramatically, and some of it isn't legitimate, but it does anyway. And then on top of that, we've talked about this before. I think you and I about the fact that congressmen and senators are exempt from insider trading on the stock market. They're the only people that are. So Nancy Pelosi, bless her heart, she goes to town. She has like a 75% return on her investments. I mean, it's absurd. Like I was just saying that the average return annually for most people is about 5%. She's doing 75% a year. And that's because she gets all the information ahead of time. And it's not illegal. And they can do that. And people have been trying to crack down on this for years. And there's no way. So, you look at a guy like Bernie Sanders, who's basically an espoused communist, and he's got like 3 multi-million-dollar homes. Or Joe Biden, even before he was president, had a mansion in Delaware. And I don't know if you've seen it. It's a legitimate mansion. It's a huge, enormous house. And I don't know where he got the money to do that.
Yeah, I've seen Joe Biden, and I know this because I posted it on Facebook. Joe Biden's mansion during COVID, and I got banned.
You did? Really? Oh my God!
Yeah, and that was the first time ever I went to Facebook jail for posting Joe Biden had a mansion, and it was an aerial view, and they fact checked and said that's not his mansion, but it was from another like 20 different people had posted it, and it was on the news somewhere.
Yeah, and so
for me to repost that,
I just want to get this straight. It was a real picture of his real house, and they still banned you, huh? Because they said it wasn't.
Yep, and I made a comment on it or whatever listing on it saying that this is one of three of his houses, and that's what I was told, that he had multiple mansions,
Yeah,
and this is one of them.
right.
And yeah, and they Facebook banned me for that. That
Well,
was the first time I was in Facebook jail, and I think they locked me down like for 3 or 4 days.
I got
It's just
kicked off Facebook
yeah,
altogether, so I totally understand. Our show isn't on Facebook anymore. We got kicked out. So, and I guess that's because I say a lot of things that supposedly aren't true. I don't know. I guess that's their reasoning. I don't really know what it is. They want to tell me. So they just cut the page off. So I mean, so I love those people.
yeah.
And-
I'm positive it has nothing to do with facts.
No
I think
shit.
did I just say I think I know for a fact it's to control the narrative.
Yep,
That's exactly what it's
it's
for.
exactly what it
Just
is.
to control the narrative.
Yeah, you got 26-year-old. Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jim. No, Jim. You go ahead. I wanted to hear what you said.
I was
have 20 what?
26-year-old, culture warriors. They're over in the Facebook censorship department. Is like they're going to change the world. They're going to set the narrative, and all you people, you're just stupid. Well, okay, fine, all right. I guess I'm stupid. I'll just accept it. You aren't
There
though.
was this documentary there was this documentary that I saw on Alex Jones Band.tv.
Yeah,
And it talked about how Egypt, this was before COVID, like way before COVID, Egypt was a beta tester for using social media to manipulate the masses into leaning to a side and causing them to riot. So Alex Jones and the person that created that documentary got into an argument for some reason. I think it's because Alex Jones was going through his court trial. That's another issue in itself.
Oh, it is.
Anyway, he had to take that video. Huh?
No, Alex Jones in that court trial. That's okay. He basically got fined $1 billion for hurting a bunch of people's feelings. That's all you can say about it.
Right.
I mean, it's absurd. It's terrible, actually. Now, granted, I don't agree with a single thing he actually said. I don't, but that's kind of beside the point. It was these people, $1 billion for saying bad words. I mean, Christ, it's terrible. It's awful. And just like Rudy Giuliani, he got fined $148 million because apparently he defamed two clerks in the Detroit election counting facility. And okay, so maybe he defamed them, maybe he did, but $148 million. I mean these fines. This is absurd. I just don't. I don't understand. But Alex Jones was the worst. I mean, no, he said terrible things. He did. But so what? I mean, it's like, that's life. We have a First Amendment here. You can say terrible things as long as you don't threaten somebody's life. It's like, I don't know. It just really, really bothers me.
Yeah. Have you seen what they do over in England? You actually,
Yes.
They can arrest you if you say something like that on Facebook.
I know.
Or on some sort of social media platform.
Not only
That is ridiculous.
not only can they arrest you, they do arrest you. They do arrest people for saying stuff like that on social media. Just ordinary people, just saying stuff. If you say something against the government in England, they will now arrest you. It's absurd. It's terrible. But once again, and you and I have talked about this before, we're the only country in the world that actually has the First Amendment. We're the only one in our Constitution. So, and people forget about that.
Yeah.
So, still there? Hello?
Yeah, I'm sorry. For some reason, we got disconnected there.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah. I didn't know that there's a Democratic Party in almost every country. So I was watching this thing about in Korea, where I don't know if you heard about the recent thing that had happened, where the president got impeached in Korea.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and it was the Democratic Party that was doing all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So every country has a Democratic Party. So it kind of question, like, is there really an Illuminati where all these like groups of people that are? It seems like they're everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yes, I do.
this Democratic Party. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Then you wonder,
Yeah.
why are
I
people believe in conspiracy theories? Geez, I wonder. You know, I don't know the answer to that question. I'm assuming there isn't, but you're right. I mean, it's awfully coincidental, isn't it? It's like, Jesus, you know?
yeah. It's way yeah. It's way too coincidental, and it stretches. Oh yeah. This is what I wanted to ask you, Jim.
Okay.
I think that the Democratic Party is losing steam here in the United States. But before this whole thing where Chuck Schumer, before he agreed with Trump and allowed
Yeah.
the bill to go through,
Yeah.
I thought that it seemed to me like the Democrats were so unified that it was a possible civil war, in my opinion. They were attacking Trump again. Al Green was talking about impeaching Trump again, and it seemed like they were all getting momentum to go ahead and attack Trump. But at the same time, at the last conference or the speaker thing that Trump had, I saw how unified the Republicans were. Like they all were behind Trump, like cheering "Go America." I've never seen that, and it seemed like there was a strong divide. Do you know the speech I'm talking about?
Is that
recent speech?
CPAC?
Uh,
Yeah,
no,
CPAC.
the recent, what was that, CPAC? The recent one where Trump had that the kid with the cancer come out. I forgot what it is. The State of the Union address, the recent one.
Uh-huh.
It's not it's the recent one. I don't know if you've seen it. It was just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you could see the clear divide. The Republicans were all cheering, clap. They would stand up. While on the opposite side, the Democrats, they weren't cheer for this kid
For the kid,
that had
yeah.
cancer. They wouldn't even.
That's right.
Yeah.
They wouldn't stand for the kid. I know. It's hilarious. It's funny. But
And not just that, we're starting.
No, go ahead. Finish.
Real quick, Jim. Yeah, real quick. And we're starting to see what they're doing now, which is similar to what happened during COVID when they had rioting. There was rioting going everywhere, taking over Seattle streets. You see it again now where people are bombing, not bombing, but shooting up Teslas. This is the most funniest thing I've heard. Somebody spray painted a swastika on a Tesla owned by a Jewish person.
Yeah, that's right. I saw it too.
Yeah, that's the most. And in my city, there's a Tesla location, and I was driving by a few weeks ago, and I saw a protest, and I didn't know until like later I saw on the news all these people protesting the Teslas, and then I realized, oh, that's why they were there, because there's a Tesla location not that far from there.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're going after Elon Musk and they're bombing them. They're bombing them. They're shooting them up and they're attacking people again. So my question to you, Jim, is how much do you think it's possible that we do have a civil war here and in this country? Do you think it's possible, or do you think the Constitution and the way America is structured now that it won't happen?
Okay, so I'm going to play odds here because this is what I usually do. If you're going to ask me if is it going to happen, I would say probably no, but I think we might come awfully close to it. That's what I'm kind of thinking here. But the thing is, on the other hand, think all the stuff you see all these people doing. I mean, you basically just inferred this just directly just now. It's a standard Democratic playbook. So we'll cause a bunch of chaos, and then we'll blame the chaos on Trump. And that's basically, if you want to be, go totally kosher and admit that they won the 2020 election, which I actually have some doubts about. But if you're going to do that, that's how they succeeded. They did created all this chaos over 4 years, and then they blamed Trump for the chaos. And people said, well, God, if you elect this guy again, we're going to get more of this. And people didn't really see it. Now they seem to, all this stuff seems to become transparent. It's like, you're right, they're bombing Tesla dealerships there. But on the other hand, you're talking about civil war, and you just alluded to this too. And I think you said this was the very first thing Don and I talked about the fact that this thing with Chuck Schumer, apparently I think the Democrats are on a verge of civil war with each other. And if you stop and think about that, well, that might be like almost justified, because you have 20% of the Democratic Party they're lunatics, but they've taken over the party, and the people. I mean, I feel strongly about the two-party system. I'm a former liberal. I understand. Liberals. It's a different point of view, but the fact for the majority of the people in the Democratic Party, they have a valid point of view. But 20% of those people that are just completely crazy, but they are now running the party. So it's like, what are you going to do if you're a Democrat? I mean, do you quit? It's like, do you start another party? What do you do? I don't know. And that's not a rhetorical question. What would you think, if you were running this?
Yeah, that's a good question. My thing is, the Democrats are just so deep in the media, in control of the masses. What's his name? Zuckerberg recently did this post on Facebook and on Twitter and on YouTube where he's saying that finally he can admit that they were trying to control him to do the fact checking. He won't do that anymore. Now that Trump is president, basically he's saying that now that Trump is president, he is not locked down by those rules anymore.
Right.
We could say things now on Facebook, and I tested it. I said a whole bunch of random anti-government or democratic stuff, and I haven't been banned.
Oh, that's good.
I haven't been fact checked. So, yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Seems
actually,
like it's come. Yeah. I'm really glad to hear that. But still, out of all the channels, I don't watch TV, but every clip that I see on the web, if it's not Fox News and it's the mainstream television shows, and this includes late night TV shows like with Jimmy Fallon and who's out, Jimmy Kimmel, and even Colbert, and even Saturday Night Live TV shows, they all are, it seems like they're all taking one order to say something bad about Trump.
Right.
And they're all one narrative.
Yeah.
So the Democrats are deep in the controlling of the masses. I mean, how else are they getting people to bomb Teslas and shoot up a Tesla? It's the media. They're brainwashing the people through the media. So basically, it's that if you can control the media, you can control the narrative. And I don't think people are bad people. I just think people are good people following bad advice sometimes. And if the media is saying bad advice and making it seem like this is good advice, people think of, well, I got to save the world and do something like protect it, so I'm going to shoot Trump. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
And I think that's what they're doing right now. Yeah.
But
I think that's how they're controlling. Go ahead, Chip.
There's two ways to look at that thing. First of all, yeah, they're brainwashing people, but I don't know if they're brainwashing that many people anymore. First, I don't know if you've seen the recent statistics. It's like in the last week, the popularity of the Democratic Party has hit an all-time low. It's under 30%. It's really incredible. It's cratered. So, you're right. They're brainwashing people. But how many people does it take to bomb a Tesla dealership? A couple hundred. That's the thing. I think there's still all those crazy people are still in the minority. So, but you're right. I mean, the liberal media does play to them because basically it's the only audience they have left, and also they're cratering too. I mean, I don't know if I actually got around to saying that when I was talking to Don. We did talk about the fact that the ratings for Fox News are absolutely through the roof. I mean, it's mind-boggling. Last month they were the #1 broadcast network, and think they're not a broadcast network; it's a cable network. They still bested all the broadcast networks. I mean, it's unbelievable. And meanwhile, CNN and MSNBC are basically going to go out of business the way they're going. That no one watches. So. It's in other words, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just wondering about the numbers. It's I don't know if they have that many people actually. I don't know if they're brainwashing that many people anymore. They were, but I don't know if they are now.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I saw that it was on CNN, the report that people's support for the Democrat is super low, like you said,
Yeah.
30%. And it was on CNN, which is for the Democratic side. To see a statistic like that was shocking to me. But at the same time, if that's the case, why did I see so many protesters that day? There must have been like 30 protesters on the street that day at the Tesla dealership. And it's funny because I'd heard JD Vance say this, that the people that protest Tesla around his area or something like that did it on a Friday afternoon when they should have been at work. And I saw that on like a Thursday or something like that during the afternoon too. But the majority of people, I don't think were working. I think they were taking some sort of, they looked like they were social, I mean, well, what is that called? Benefits? Welfare, that type of
Yeah,
stuff.
right.
I don't know though. I don't know if that's for a fact, but it's just like, where did these people find the time during a
Well,
work day to go and protest?
but
There was a lot of people that day.
think you did you did just touch on this too. There's a strong indication that a lot of these people are getting paid to protest. That the Democratic Party actually pays them
Yeah.
to show up.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
and of course now
Yeah.
if you're going to
I
disable the the charity apparatus like USA Aid, if you're going to disable that, well then they're not going to be able to do that anymore, and that's one of the reasons they're panicking. They're literally paying people to show up in force during the 2020 riots. It was they still, I don't think, have figured out who supplied the money. They do know that certain groups were actually supplying, like they were literally bringing pallets of bricks in to these riots so that people could toss them. And it was an organized thing. They had forklifts actually bringing these pallets of bricks in. Well, somebody's got to pay for that. It's like this isn't just like a spontaneous thing. So yeah, I think you've touched on something there about the fact that, yeah, the reason these people aren't working is because they are working. They're getting paid to do that. They're getting paid to protest at the Tesla dealership. It's stupid, but it's true.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I remember now. Somebody on YouTube, I was following this channel, and they were saying that they saw listings on Craigslist for that would pay for protest.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna find that where they're listing for jobs on Craigslist where you could get paid for protesting on their behalf.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a real thing. This is a real thing. It's so fabricated, so fake, unbelievable, right? It shouldn't be. That's not right, right?
No, well,
paid
no, I agree with you.
protest?
Except it appears that the public is starting to figure this out. The general public, and I think that's a good thing. People are not as naive as they used to be. I mean, it's like even like 8-10 years ago. I think people start. I mean, Trump was convicted of 31 felonies, and he still got elected president because everyone knew it was bogus. So I think it's
Okay.
kind of a good thing myself. I don't know about you, but
Okay. Yeah. Then I'm gonna go off your narrative. Then I'm gonna go and say, yeah, we won't have a civil war,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna stay happy then.
the only thing,
It's good that I hear that from you because for the long.
you got to
Yeah, go
remember
ahead.
though,
Go ahead, Jim.
sometimes I'm wrong. So I don't know if you should put a lot of credence in what I say. I've been wrong before. So
Oh, Jim.
Yeah.
Jim. I got to tell you something real quick.
yeah,
So that picture that I sent you of the object in the sky.
yeah, right.
I recently did work for this guy. He has a $10,000 telescope. It's 6 foot tall and it's almost 300 pounds. And he's an astronomer. He's not like a professional astronomer, but he's been studying it for a long time. And I showed him the picture, and he told me it was a few months ago, right, or a couple months. Yeah, how did you know? That's Venus. So the picture I showed you is a Venus. Now, also, he explained to me those objects that I saw in the sky while I was fishing. I was talking to you about that, where I saw these huge stars that would slowly move. and he clarified it for me that it is satellites. So the reason why the satellites get bright like a star is their solar panel, right? So their solar panel bends and it reflects the sunlight off of them. And sometimes they bend so quickly that they just disappear, but they're forever moving. And that's what he was telling me. And in fact, he showed me this picture I think it was like a year ago, where there was 20 satellites in a row. And he took a picture of like 20 different stars in a straight line. It looked like stars, but really they were satellites in a straight line.
Yeah, but think
I'm starting to question it.
I saw your pictures. Okay, first of all, I thought at least the one object that I think you're referring to, I thought it was too bright to be Venus. I did. I mean, it occurred to me that that's what I thought. And the other thing is, yeah, you just said exactly the way satellites act, and that is they're always in a straight line. They move in a straight line. The stuff that you were recording didn't. That's why I didn't think there were satellites.
Yeah, there's other ones that I didn't record, and I haven't taken a picture of the weird ones that I saw where it's moving like too quick to be a satellite. I told him it moves really fast, like almost like a drone, and he was like, yeah, but no matter what, like he's very mainstream thinking. But the only reason why he's doing what he's doing now is because he saw something when he was younger that he wants to try to find again. And he says that he still hasn't have some sort of explanation to the object that he saw when he was younger. And that's why he's doing all this, to try to find it again. But he hasn't yet. That's all.
That's really interesting. Yeah. People see stuff, man. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And one last.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jim.
No, you go ahead, please.
All right. All right. So I was listening to the other side of the whole Roswell thing, Area 51. So we all know, the majority of people think that a UFO crash landed there and then they found aliens, right?
Right.
So what he was telling me was that it was a weather balloon. That weather balloons are real, right? I didn't know that. He was saying that there are real weather balloons that go up and then they pop and then they slowly go down again. There's a parachute that pops out of them and they go back down again. And so that day, what had happened in Roswell was they were testing out something and it actually dropped. And most likely he's saying that it was a weather balloon. Now, the whole alien thing, he was saying that they were dummies, that they were testing on like actual, like safety dummies.
Yeah.
And so when the balloon dropped, the safety dummies dropped with them, and they're bald headed because safety dummies don't have hair.
Right.
It's just a dummy. And the reason why we see 3 fingers instead of the whole 5, the gray aliens always are depicted as 3 or 4 fingers or something, is because when the dummies fell, they broke the fingers off of them. So when people saw the police or whoever picked up these dummies, they saw the 3 fingers, but it was really the dummy with the broken fingers. That's what he's saying. I don't know.
Okay.
But that's what his interpretation of the whole Roswell.
So let me give you the counter to that thing. First of all, what he said is basically the government's line about what happened. All right. You have to understand that the 509th Bomber Group that was stationed at the Roswell Airfield, now it's called Walker, I think, was the single most elite group of not only in the American Army. There was no Air Force in 1947. The Air Force started the next year. It was the Army Air Force, and they were the single most elite people, not only in the U.S. Army but in any army in the world, because they actually dropped the atomic bomb. Those are the guys who actually drove the Enola Gay over to Japan. So you got the smartest people in the Army at this air base. The reason the government says it was a weather balloon, matter of fact, they say it was a quote unquote top secret weather balloon. The reason it probably wasn't is because there was first of all, these guys know what a weather balloon looks like. It's simple, but also there was way more debris based on what the people who act, the eyewitnesses, than a weather balloon could produce. So there's that. The second thing about the dummies, and the government's even acknowledged this about the fact that, yeah, they dropped dummies, but they didn't do that till 1952, 5 years after this happened. And the government says, well, people got their dates confused. That's bullshit. Now, but on the other hand, and the thing, I have went on the record of this, although my thinking talking about playing the odds, although I think that probably it actually was an extraterrestrial spacecraft, there's a good possibility that it wasn't. But if it wasn't a weather balloon, it was if anything, it was a top secret American aircraft that for some reason they still don't want to release from classification for whatever reason. I don't know what it is, because here's the counter to that. The people who say they saw this crash, supposed extraterrestrial spacecraft, they said it has wings. Nobody's flying around in space with wings. You don't need them. You don't. And what's the other thing too about well, anyway, yeah, that's the primary thing. It's like you don't have a spacecraft with wings, and they said this vehicle had wings on it, and you don't need wings in space. So what's that all about? You know? So I don't buy the weather balloon thing at all. I think that's just all crap. But I do think there might have been something other than an ET spacecraft. That's my point. But on the other hand, too, and I've been trying to get Kevin Randall on the show. I've been working on that the last couple of weeks. He wrote some of the big books on Roswell. They've interviewed 600 people now who have a consistent story about seeing alien bodies and seeing this crash spacecraft. So it's a lot of people, and not all of them are lying. They aren't. So I mean, at this point, if I had to put money on it, I'd say, yeah, it was a crash spacecraft. But there's actually better examples of this in the past than Roswell. There's a possibility it was not an extraterrestrial spacecraft. There's a distinct possibility. But believe me, it wasn't weather balloons. That's bullshit. It wasn't. That's the government just trying to cover their ass. So that's where I'm coming from on it. I'm trying to get Kevin Randall on the show. He wrote all the major books, or a co-writer on Roswell, and he's talked to a bunch of people. And now, of course, most of these people are dying or dead. So it's good that they did this like 10 or 15, 20 years ago. I mean, they were all elderly at this point. So anyway, that's my 2 bits on that whole thing. So take that for whatever it's worth.
Yeah.
But, go ahead.
Cool. So after he showed me the picture of all those satellites in a straight line, I asked him, so that explains the Phoenix lights. And he says this, no, it doesn't. Phoenix lights, well, I think he had said that the Phoenix lights were before the satellites. We're doing stuff like this. It was too far long ago that they didn't have that type of satellite yet.
Yeah.
To make all those lights like that. So the Phoenix lights are still not explainable, in his opinion.
Well,
it's definitely not. Go ahead, Tim, please.
The one thing about the Phoenix lights is that, first of all, thousands of people saw it, and secondly, this spacecraft or whatever the hell it was flew really, really low. It was only 200 or 300 feet off the ground, and everyone got a huge, enormous look at it. And the other thing is with the Phoenix lights, and I'm starting to think that the military actually does this on purpose. The videos everyone saw after dark, that at 10 o'clock over Phoenix downtown, that's not actually what most people saw. So there's actually 2 events going on here, and everyone's conflated them into one, and I really shouldn't. The real event was at 8 o'clock, around 8 o'clock, where the sun was still up in Phoenix at that time, and the people saw this spacecraft or this thing fly over them that was just absolutely enormous. The best estimate anyone's be able to come up with is that it was about 1,500 feet across. It was huge. And supposedly somebody did get a really good video of it, and the government confiscated it and never gave it back. So no one's ever seen it. But that's the thing. There's actually 2 different events that happened there. The stuff that happened after 10 o'clock might have been flares. That might have, or it might have been the same thing, or it just might have been, it's really nothing, really. It's a nothing burger. It's the shit that happened at 8 o'clock, 2 hours earlier. That's the really big thing. And there's not a single good photo of it. But you have thousands of people who saw it, including the governor of Arizona. He saw it, And he was an Air Force pilot, and he said the same thing. He said, "I've never seen anything like that in my entire life. It was just absolutely enormous." This is one of the single biggest, best instances of a UFO witnesses you'll find, because it's unbelievable how many people saw it. They all saw the same thing, and they described it the same way. It's a boomerang shaped object, and it was just absolutely huge. So, any rate, there's that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's that. That's and the other thing is what happened recently in New Jersey and in New York City and around the world now.
Yeah.
Where all these drones. I hear that it's like he was saying that it's like 50% like actual drones, like man-made drones and airplanes, and like people were over exaggerating, but there's still. He was saying that it doesn't explain all the drones that just came out of nowhere.
No, that's
because
right.
There's never been like 20 drones at one time in the sky and over airspace. They've never had that type of stuff.
Right.
And suddenly it just stops.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right.
Sense.
Some of them were real drones, but some of them were something else. That's actually what's going on here. Same thing. You've got two different concepts mixed together. They weren't. So there's a guy named, if you want to read an interesting book, the book's called Quantum Paranormal, written by a guy named Patrick Jackson, and it actually came out about 7-8 years ago. He's an IT guy from England, and his theory, which is really, really brilliant, I think. His theory is that all these things that people think are drones are actually, and now the government has released movies of this stuff. They're like these little silver balls, these spheres that are about, depending on where you're at, maybe 1 to 3 feet in diameter, and they're flying all over the place. And he's come to the conclusion, based on some experiments he did, that worldwide they're all networked together, and that some ET society somewhere is running these things, and they're their drones. So they're running around collecting data, basically. But that's his thing about the fact they're all networked together, and it's a fascinating book, and it's a brilliant theory. It really is. He really goes out about, excuse me, the book's like 250 pages long. You got to read the whole thing to kind of get what he's talking about. But I don't know if you've seen that. There's that what's called, I think it's called the Middle East Ball or something like that, over in Iraq, where the U.S. Army just happened to catch on a surveillance camera this silver sphere flying around. They couldn't figure it out. It looked like it was self-powered. It looked like it had intelligent direction. They couldn't figure out. They've never been able to figure out what it is. But people report seeing these all over the world. I mean, I've heard of people seeing them in parking lots. People are just going out to the car, and all of a sudden, there's a 1-foot ball about the size of a basketball just sitting there watching them. It's really weird. But his theory is that all these balls are networked together, and they're all here to collect data about the Earth. That's why they're here. And so it's like, I don't know. It's really fascinating. But that's that's the theory, is that half of them are bullshit drones like we have with propellers, and then the other half are those things. And there's some people who think that the government is running the real drones because they're chasing after the ET drones, trying to figure out what they are and what they do. And that's what's going on here. So I don't know. That's another theory too. I got theories.
Yeah, there were YouTubers all over the place that was just traveling over there just to. When I say YouTube, a lot of different YouTubers were like, "I just want to go check it out." And every one of them that went there caught a drone. It's not like they didn't see it. Like there's stories where people go missing in Area 51. There's a guy that went. I forgot his name, but people went looking for him. They never found anything.
Right.
But this is different. These YouTubers went there looking for these drones, and they saw them.
Yeah.
Not just that, they started discovering gas. Another thing is the fog. They started finding fog in these areas where it's not typical to have fog. Well, that's what they're saying.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
No. Think. Patrick Jackson says he thinks these spheres can actually create fog so that they're not observed. He's kind of nailed this down. I mean, he also thinks these things hide in buildings because they're basically his theory is that they make a point to stay away from humans because they're radioactive. So they don't necessarily want to hurt people. So he thinks a lot of what people they say is paranormal activity is actually deliberately created by these spheres. And one of the things he actually mentioned is fog. He said that these things can create fog just so that they're not seen and so that to freak people out. They're literally trying to scare people away, basically. That's what, and so, no, I mean, we're telling the same story here, my friend, you and I. It's like, this is the same deal.
Okay. All right, yeah, I'm telling it from like an actual observer, like from people observing it, but you're telling me the scientific end of it. Well, and it seems to match. It would explain a lot, though, right?
Yeah.
So that because yeah, but they still haven't, like the government still hasn't come out and say what this is all. According to what Trump's team is saying that it is, though, according to him, I think his team is saying that it is just drones and helicopters and airplanes. But then again, the FBI recently hit a whole bunch of Epstein files. So I don't know. It does still seem like there is a cover up still.
Of course there is.
Like
right.
There is still a cover up.
Right. Now, I used to have a guy on the show. He passed away in October named Jazz Shaw. He was a regular guest. I don't know if you ever saw him. He wrote for the Salem News Service, and he was basically the UFO guy for that agency. And he was very connected to the Pentagon. And he's told me what I had heard myself. But the thing is, I got it from him secondhand, so I thought it was more important. And he said there's a huge debate in the military among the people that know about this of whether they should tell the public or not. He said people feel very strongly. Some people think the public definitely should be told, and some people think, no, we can't tell the public, we'll scare the crap out of them. And also the fact that if they tell the public, then they have to admit that they don't really know what's going on. And the military does not want to admit that to anybody. So no, there's definitely a cover up going on. And so at this point, I tell friends who don't believe me, it's basically an open secret. And even Trump has alluded to the fact that he knows more than he can talk about. I have no idea. There's a movie, a documentary that came out of the South by Southwest Film Festival last week, and it's going to be released here. It's called The Age of Disclosure. And a lot of people they got this guy got yeah, you heard about it, right. Dan Farrar is the guy's name who directed the movie. He got 34 government officials to come on camera and say that this stuff's really happening. It's probably a lot of people think, well, this is kind of like the smoking gun. And then it depends. I've read some reviews where baby said the movie's a big nothing burger. I don't really know. But at any rate, it's kind of, there's so many people talking about this now relatively openly that I don't know if the government or the president will ever stand up at a podium and say, no, the extraterrestrials are here. I mean, I don't know if that's ever going to happen in my lifetime, but the fact of the matter is they're here. That's all there is to it. Just get used to it. This is one thing I've been trying to preach on this show is that people got to get used to this idea. Not only are the ETs are here, but they're monitoring us and they're trying to figure out, what the hell we're doing, killing each other. I don't know. Whatever. We do the same thing. We go into the jungle. We tag big cats. I mean, Christ. I mean, it's like if we had the ability to fly across the universe in a few days, we do the same thing. So I don't think it's unrealistic at all. But people do. They get freaked out.
Do you think we're ready? I'm ready to know. But then again, if I don't get freaked out like that. If the government tomorrow said, Trump came on TV, every channel broadcasted one video, every channel, even YouTube and Facebook, they all broadcasted Trump on at his podium saying, yes, we finally found ET.
Yeah.
And they show pictures of to me, it wouldn't be anything. I'll be like, wow, that's incredible. I'll be happy and I'll just be really happy. And I'll still go to work But I don't. Do you think the world will behave that way,
Well,
or
but
do
no,
you think mass panic will take
you
place?
just brought up the very important point there. And this is the only thing Jazz and I ever really disagreed on. I think Americans could handle it, but I don't know if the rest of the world could. Because if the president tells us, he tells everybody, and I think the majority of Americans could handle it. But you go to other countries where maybe they're not quite sophisticated, I think people might really freak out. And that's another thing too. So if you tell Americans, you tell the whole world. And I don't know if that Nick Pope, who's a very famous UFO researcher, and he actually ran the UFO desk for the Ministry of Defense in Britain. He said recently, and I thought this was really interesting. He said, "I've always thought that the public could handle this until COVID." He said, "We handled COVID so badly. Now," he says, I'm starting to doubt whether we can handle the fact that that the ETs are here." And he's got a really good point. We couldn't handle COVID. I mean, shit. So now you're going to tell us the extraterrestrials are coming? So I don't know. I really don't. I can't answer your
I,
question. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Please go ahead.
yeah, yeah, I think that the only reason why I agree with you, we didn't handle COVID real well. But the only reason why I think that was we were given bad advice.
Yeah.
I think that the two political parties were using it as some political tool to outdo the other. And in the middle, they gave the masses, the people, the citizens, terrible advice, all political advice. This was not had nothing to do about our health, about our safety. It
No,
was just them throwing shots at each other, and we absorbed it basically.
you're
Like
absolutely
for
correct.
example, for example, they were telling us, we can't wear masks unless we eat. So if you were to go into a restaurant, because eventually they opened it up where we could go into a restaurant. But if you go into a restaurant, you had to wear a mask. And if you sat down, had to wear a mask. But you could pull down your mask to eat and then
Yeah.
pull it back up.
Right.
And then they came out like, if you sit down at a table, you can take off your mask. But if you get up and you walk around, you have to wear a mask.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, the mask never worked. It was just bullshit.
That's right.
Just,
Absolutely. It was completely bullshit. Right. That's right. They didn't work. No.
yeah, they were just using it to as a political message to outdo that Trump is bad. Basically, see, COVID is he's not really cares about the people. Well, we care about the people, so we're telling you should wear a mask.
Yeah.
Well, Trump is not wanting you to wear a mask. Then the
Right.
whole shot things came up. The vaccine. Trump doesn't want you to take the vaccine, but you should take it. All these weird narratives. People are all confused. It was just a huge political war that we were caught in the middle of. But if the two sides had unified and gave us the proper message, then I think the people, we would have handled it properly. Like, let's say aliens are real, and then Trump unifies the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, and they come together and make proper statements to tell the people on what to do. I think we would listen.
Yeah,
I
but
think, like I told you, Jim, I think people are good people following bad advice.
yeah,
But if you give us good advice, the majority of people would do good things.
I agree with you. Except the one thing, okay, what happened in COVID could actually happen with the ETs, because I've been seeing this for many years. I think that also I've heard this too, and Jazz and I talked about this. He had heard the same thing from his friends in the Pentagon about the fact that the government might try to use the ET situation as a false flag thing to raise more money from us. In other words, they're going to say, well, the aliens are not only coming here, they're going to invade us, and we need to put up we need $100 trillion to bolster the military or something like that, and it will all be bullshit. That's the other thing. It's just be another way to get money off of us, and it's crap. So that's, hey, think. I got to get going here because I got to wrap this up in a few minutes because we're hitting our 2-hour limit. But on Wednesday, I'm doing
Right.
a whole call-in show. So please feel free to call. Okay. All right. I got to cut you
You
off
got it.
now.
Thanks for
Okay.
having me on again,
Oh,
Jim.
thanks for calling.
All
No,
right, bye-bye.
seriously, call on Wednesday. Okay. I want to talk to you some more. All right.
Okay, you got
Okay.
it. All right, bye-bye.
See you. Bye. That's Think. Always interesting conversation. Great guy. So yeah, okay, so and I forgot to run this down at the beginning of the show, and I got to do this. So this is, and I got a post on our blog at jimandknight.com on this too. This is the first week in the 19 months we've been doing this show. We are going to have shows 5 nights a week, all this week. So we had Don Zorro on tonight, tomorrow, and I prepped this. I promoted this last week. We actually an actual A-list guest, Steve Mera, who's a guy. He's a paranormal researcher and a UFO researcher, and you've seen him on pretty much every damn Ancient Alien show and all. I mean, he's everywhere. He's calling us from the UK. We're going to talk to him tomorrow night. That's Tuesday. Wednesday, I'm going to do the first solo show I've done in about a month, and it's going to be all calls. So yeah, not only I'm hoping Think calls back, but I hope you call in too at 325 call Jim. That's this Wednesday. Thursday is this. All right, let me get this right. It's the second of our 3-part interview with Dr. Lee Richardson on her book Crisis Brains. Now we're doing these 3 Thursdays in a row. And the thing is, it's not really the same interview. We did 3 different interviews. This one we had to tape ahead of time because she had to go to town. So the other 2, the first one we aired last Thursday, and then the last one will be a week from this coming Thursday. So we're talking to her on Thursday and Thursday night. Like I said, this one was pre-recorded because we had to do it. And Friday, we have Sina McCullough, who's a medical correspondent for the Epoch Times. And if you're keeping score at home, we have a lot of people from the Epoch Times on the show. We have an in and their publicity department there. They like us, and so it's a great newspaper. I say this. I don't say this because they favor us with their personnel. The Epoch Times and the Wall Street Journal, the only 2 newspapers in America worth paying anymore. It's a fantastic publication. Very, I'd say it's kind of center right, but still they're not crazy people. If you look on the Wikipedia, it will tell you that the Epoch Times is run by far right extremists. The only thing they're extremists about is that it was started by a bunch of ex-Chinese patriots, expats that hate the Chinese Communist Party. Well, geez, I do too. and you should if you don't. Yeah, there's nothing unusual going on. These are really, really solid people working there, and they put out a fantastic publication. I subscribe. I think it's $10 a month. Now, the Wall Street Journal, I used to subscribe. I can't afford it right now. I think that's about $400 a year, I think. So it comes out to about $1.50 a paper, which isn't bad, but you got to pay it all up front. You can't do it on a monthly basis. At least the last time I checked. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Matter of fact, if I am, call or write me an email and tell me, or send me a text message at 408-458-5088. But anyway, yeah, she's coming out. We're going to talk specifically about the bird flu epidemic in the United States. It's fascinating and it's weird. And so we're going to talk about that. That's the entire week here we got. So we're all lined up. So tomorrow night, Steve Mera from the UK. Now we had Marcus Louth. He's also a UFO writer from the UK. Excuse me. He came on a couple weeks ago, and we had, first time I've ever interviewed anybody from across the pond, and the internet connection worked just fine. So it works out great. It turns out it's just terrific. I was a little nervous about that, but we had no technical problems. So I'm hoping the same thing happens again. Anyway, Steve's a great guy and also really, really interesting. I mean, this guy's done a lot of shit. So it's like, and he's seen a lot of stuff. So I'm really interested in talking to him. That's tomorrow night. So we're on 9 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday this week. So I do hope you join us. I want to thank for calling. I want to thank Don Zorro for stopping by and talking to us. But yeah, great guy, great conversationalist. Think was really right about that. That's really true. So want to thank all those guys. And hopefully now we'll be taking calls tomorrow night, second half of the show tomorrow too. But on Wednesday, it's an entire call-in show. So I do hope especially then, I do hope you'll call in. Anyway, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Always appreciate it. Good night, Esperanza. Good night, Uncle Donnie. And good night to you, wherever you are. I know what I'm doing here. I can figure it out. We'll see you tomorrow night, everybody. Take care.